What's up guys, and welcome back to the second part and final part of my GG $32 Bounty Hunter Deepstack Turbo Run. And as you can see, we are only 6 left. Gonna start right away here. We are now kind of in the middle of the pack. I think I'm actually 5th in chips, but yeah, some closer stacks obviously. So we have to take our spots wisely and hoping to double at some point. But still, at the same time, I'm gonna try to play aggressively when it's possible, because usually in these bounty hunters it's worth risking to bust kind of earlier, when at the same time you're giving yourself a good chance to take it down and win it, because there's just so much difference from second to first place with all the bounty you can collect, because you're also collecting your own bounty obviously. So 8-7 suited, I would probably open this. The problem is, again, we don't block anything that 3-bets us, and we would mostly have to fold against the 3-bet. And against Ethan Punt, even though he's super active, because we don't have blockers to his value range, I'm just gonna fold this. You can see the payouts on the right side if you haven't seen that before. And usually there's a good chance you make more than first place money if you win it just in bounties. So you can just calculate the first place times 2 or even more if you're running well and collecting a lot of bounties. Ethan Punt, I mentioned it before, he's been active and playing so many pots, so yeah, I want to take my spots wisely here. And King 9 suited, I thought about 3-betting light here, I remember this. Problem is, Agolas wasn't that active, and he's opening from under the gun. If just Ethan Punt's gonna open, I would definitely 3-bet here. Even potentially Anton Mokov. I don't expect he will be opening too wide, but I'm expecting a lot of ace-x that he still is gonna fold against the 3-bet. Yeah, but in this case I knitted it up a bit and went for the fold, which, given the dynamics, I think is okay, even though this would have been a great hand. But yeah, against Ethan Punt we probably would have gotten stacked or lost a substantial part of our stack if he decides to call the King-Queen offsuit. Pocket 10s here, obviously kind of a monster with 20 big blinds in the hijack. And we're gonna call it jam or 4-bet jam against the raise. Obviously we're not super happy, but still we cannot fold this hand, and just flatting in most cases, if we're just getting raised, would be weird. But against the jam, I think it's a snap call. This mostly ace-queen suited, ace-king, sometimes definitely pocket jacks, maybe pocket queens. I don't think pocket queens just jams, probably more oftentimes also just raises. But yeah, it's actually ace-king, and we win this super essential flip. You can see our SAM value going up from $300 to $38. About $150 going up to $785, which is amazing. And now we are the second in chips and have a really good position to take this further. You're still the bounty leader, which is pretty nice. So if you can see the $224, that's what you would win immediately if you knock me out. That means I already won twice this, because your bounty will also increase by this number. So yeah, it's just kind of important that you consider the bounties in relation to the chips you can win, and also in relation to what does it mean if you win this tournament. It's kind of complicated, because you cannot always assume you're gonna win the tournament, obviously, so you need to find some calculation that's in between. Let me know in the comments if you know how to calculate these bounties correctly. Yeah. Anyway, so 5 left here, and stacks are still pretty decent, so I don't think there's a reason for any of them to play too spewy. Pocket deuces, you can debate opening them or not, because we're not blocking anything. Again, I don't love it. You cannot call any raise, any jam. But with our stack, we can still put on some pressure, even against a guy like Konichiwa, who's pretty aggressive and of course has us covered. So it's on the edge. I think it's a slightly plus CV open, but I'm not even sure. It depends a lot on player tendencies. But I haven't been too crazily active, so probably got a bit more credit, which you should try to also take into account. 4-3, I'm probably gonna call a min raise, but with this 3-bet obviously not. Oh, I remember this hand. This was pretty interesting. Ace King suited. I was pretty sure he would ISO so much of his range here, so I went for the limp. But what happened next, I did not expect here. He jams, and obviously we're not gonna fold. I'm expecting him to jam a lot of weaker ace X, and the thing I was afraid of was a pocket pair. I still thought about it for a second, but obviously I'm gonna call here. And he actually has a pocket pair, which is really, really bad. Luckily we lock it on the turn. Got a flush draw, so yeah, but I think it's an overplay. He made this overplay before with pocket nines, so that's one of the reasons why I limped here, because I thought he would probably jam ace 10 and better, maybe even some suited weaker ace X. And yeah, worked out well for us. And now obviously our position is fantastic. ICM value is getting close to first place money. And here with him being so active, with Ethan Punt being so active and opening under the gun, and he's the second in chips with 2 stacks that are like kind of half of his stack, I decided to go for the jam, because we're putting such a crazy pressure on him. What do you do here with pocket nines, pocket tens? I'm assuming he might mostly call them. But even if we have fold equity like half of the time against pocket pairs that we're just flipping against, and I went for the slight speech play here. I don't know if it's a good thing, no idea. Yeah, he ended up folding, which is great for us, and putting on max pressure here against him, I think, especially against him, is just definitely fine. He went for the limp. Was it a limp? Anyway, pretty unlucky here with ace king. Yeah, and now his bounty is kind of up for grabs. Amazing big bounty. I would have called the queen 7 here, but I remember he jammed, so obviously I have to fold this. And he makes a nice 2-pair, busting this player and collecting a very nice bounty, and we are down to 4-handed. I thought shortly about re-raising here. Luckily I didn't. And Ethan punted off here. I think ace 3 is too weak to call a jam. Yeah, and here I'm just putting on max pressure, opening 9-7. And I went for the check here, which I don't like. Yeah, he has some queen X in his range, but there's a lot of turns that we can keep burying, except like this one. And now I'm in a weird position. I have a gut shot and I have a medium, strong, weak flush draw. So I thought about raising this turn, because my idea first was to just delay c-bet. But I ended up check calling. Not the best line, I guess, especially since we had the big stack and put on so much pressure. I should have just went for a small c-bet and a bigger turn bet, I guess. Anyway. And queen check here is gonna be a call. Ethan Punt has been super active. We are often flipping. Sometimes he might be ahead, and sometimes it's a 60-40 or something. Unfortunately, he has us dominated and flops the world, and we double him up. Pretty unfortunate. This hurts our ICM value, going down from $893 to $850. Not too much, but still relevant. Queen 9 plays pretty well post flop, so I like the limp here. I think it's generally a limp in GTO world. Just too strong to raise fold. Mostly it would be bad, and yeah, we take it down with a small bet on the flop. And ace check here. I don't love the raise. We're only getting called by better or jammed by better most of the time. And yeah, so I think that the flat in position is okay. With this jam, if he would fold, I would probably have to call it off. Not happily, but yeah. But since he goes over the top, it's an easy fold with ace check. And Ethan Punt runs into pocket kings and doesn't hit his 2-outer ace. So actually good, even though I think he's kind of a decent player, a little bit too much on the tighter side. Yeah. And the ace-6 here, to be honest, I don't know if I would ever fold against Ethan Punt's jam. I think it's, in theory, it's definitely a fold. Against him, I'm not sure. And we're getting a raise here, and I think there was something about the dynamic that I went for the forward. I think I'm putting on so much crazy pressure if I raise it up here with a 4-bet and he snap folds. Especially again, I haven't shown many weekends so far, so I think I have kind of a tight image, even though I was kind of normal, not super loose, not super active. Yeah. And here, starting with a raise, putting pressure on the second biggest stack. Maybe we have to fold against this jam. I get an ace-x, and this time I will not be folding. Here's like almost 2 big blinds less, and our hand is slightly stronger. Yeah, on this flop, I think you could bet or you can check. And this is definitely the nitty way, but actually I don't think it's too bad. There are not many turns that we are happy about. Yeah, and the check 7 here, I think it's close, but I think check 8 suited is a clear call, check 7 I'm not sure. And I went for the call. Luckily we have 2 live cards and we bink it. Getting a really big bounty, $250 is massive here, and now we are only 3 left, so definitely lovely. Picking up another really monster hand, three-handed, and I went for the snap call here because I think that's what you have to do. 3-handed with a bounty for grabs and having him covered. Unfortunately we run into pocket checks, but we bink it on the river. Also the flop was very good for us, obviously. So yeah, running hot in this case, and now we are heads up. And this is a massive heads up. As you can see, his bounty is $150 minus 400, so there's more than 1k for the person that wins it in difference, just bounty wise. It's like almost 1.1k. 8-7 plays kind of fine post flop, so we call. It's a pretty good turn. I thought about stabbing here, but we don't wanna bet fold here, so I went for the check call. And this river is kind of weird. The problem is now he has a lot of better pairs than us, I would say. A lot of gut shots and open-enders make a pair with this check, so I ended up folding here, even though with the 8 I have a nice blocker. Could go for a bluff here, but I didn't. Checked and suited, easy open. Obviously this is kind of a neutral flop, and on this turn I think we just have to stab it, especially against a passive player that doesn't stab himself here. And yeah, I would have even thought about calling, but if he stabs, but check high is kind of borderline. 7-5 on this board. I could go for the lead. Yeah, because he was so passive before, I went for the slightly nitty fold maybe here. Queen 6, standard open. You can also limp depending a bit on dynamics. And I like the stab here because there's a lot of turns that we can stab. Any heart, any check, any 10, maybe even a queen. And 10-8 here, easy defend, very nice hand. And on this flop it's a monster, and I decided to play for stacks here. With our equity plus fold equity, I think this is the way to go, especially against a player that's slightly on the nittier side. We're taking it down directly, which is a good result, obviously. Limping is fine, raising is okay, but the problem is if you raise and getting jammed, it would be terrible to fold queen check here. It's not a great board for us. I kind of went for the nit move. And here, against this third player, I think you can make the exploited fold with queen high, but I still went with the call. Not super happy with my mega passive line. On the turn I could still stab, I think. Jack deuce gonna be a fold if he would raise, but in this case we see a free flop. Having the 2.5 chip lead is obviously nice. Gives us some breathing room. As you can see, I didn't play crazy aggro or anything, I would say. Here with a gut shot and 7 high, it's a mandatory stab, I think. And he just ends up folding, good for us. Open jam 20 big blinds, I think that's pretty bad, given how he played before. And easy fold. King X, gonna open. I could bring in a small c-bet here. If he stabs here, I'm gonna fold. Even though we pick up a pair. We could also decide to call and call off on most non-flush rivers. But it's a weird spot, and I think against him, again, fold is nice. I actually want to raise this for value. Queen 10 suit is pretty good. He snap calls, which is kind of weird, and this is also weird. You could stab here, but because of check and go into check call mode. He doesn't have many ace X with this line. And here on this turn, and given the stack sizes, the weird stack sizes, I decided to just kind of get it in here. Obviously, with this sizing, I have to call a jam, but also maybe sometimes he folds a better queen X. I don't think he would fold on ace X here ever, but yeah, worked out well. I think we got slightly lucky there. Kind of a weird spot. Pocket tens here, absolute monster. We don't want to just jam it against a nit like him. He limps and then raises, which is weird. Sometimes he might run into kings here or whatever. But yeah, he has the king jack, and now we just need to hold. Not the nicest of all flops, but turn is great, almost 70% on the turn. And yeah, we ended up holding and shipping it. 734 players, so yeah, pretty nice result. As you can see, the first place, the bounty price was actually more than double of the first prize, so pretty great score for this tournament. Very happy with it. Yeah, that was that. Let me know what you think about some plays. Definitely made some mistakes. It usually happens, and still got lucky in the important spots, in the flip spots. Let me know what you think. There will be another very nice deep run in the World Festival tournament on GGPOKER coming out soon. Stay tuned for that, and for now I wish you good luck at the tables and see you in the next one.